What if I told you the Brown family's carefully crafted image of modest living has just been shattered by a judge's stunning court order? 12 luxury vehicles. Nearly $1 million in value. And now, every single one of them exposed by the legal system. The sister wives world has been shaken to its very core, and tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the shocking truth. The courtroom was silent. The air heavy. When the judge finally spoke, every word echoed like a hammer striking steel. Mr. Brown, you are hereby ordered to submit complete documentation and registration for every motor vehicle owned by you, your wives, and your children. Effective immediately. Gasps rippled through the gallery. And then the numbers started to roll in. Not one car. Not 3. But 12 luxury vehicles, collectively valued at an eye-watering $950,000. For years, fans have watched Kody Brown and his wives argue over money, houses, land, and loyalty. But hidden beneath the surface was something even more scandalous, a fleet of high-end cars quietly tucked away under various names, allegedly shielded from both cameras and creditors. At the center of the storm? Kody himself, the self-proclaimed patriarch. Court documents suggest that the registrations were deliberately split across multiple names, some under Robyn, others under Meri, a few under Janelle, and even one under Christine, despite her divorce. But the shockwave didn't end there. At least 2 of the vehicles were found registered under the names of Brown family children, sparking questions about whether Kody had been using his own kids as financial cover. And when you hear the details, the picture becomes even darker. A black Cadillac Escalade worth $92,000, spotted at Robyn's Arizona property. A Range Rover Sport, estimated at $80,000, quietly tied to Janelle's name. Christine allegedly linked to a Tesla Model X. A $110,000 electric SUV. Acquired just months before her split from Kody. And perhaps the most suspicious of all, a limited edition Dodge Ram TRX, valued at nearly $100,000, reportedly registered under one of Kody's sons. One by one, the vehicles paint a story of wealth, secrecy, and deception. A story that now lies bare in front of the court, and by extension, the entire world. So how did the judge uncover this? According to insiders, the investigation began when discrepancies were noticed in the Brown family's reported assets versus their extravagant lifestyle. While public records suggested financial strain, unpaid taxes, mortgage defaults, and constant disputes over Coyote Pass land, the luxury car sightings simply didn't add up. Fans captured photos, neighbors whispered, and soon enough, attorneys began to dig deeper. The result was explosive, a paper trail of car payments, insurance filings, and registration documents scattered across 4 states, each pointing back to the Browns. Robyn, often portrayed as Kody's favorite, was directly tied to the most expensive vehicles, including a Mercedes-Benz GLS and a luxury GMC Yukon Denali, both topping 6 figures when combined. Christine's alleged Tesla connection raised eyebrows, particularly since she had publicly spoken about financial struggles before leaving Kody. Meri, too, wasn't spared, linked to a high-end Jeep Grand Cherokee that prosecutors claimed was purchased in cash. But here's where the tension skyrockets. The judge wasn't just asking for records. The judge demanded full disclosure under threat of asset seizure. If the Browns failed to comply, these cars could be repossessed, sold, or worse, tied into a looming fraud investigation. And the family knows it. Inside sources say Kody's reaction was explosive. Slamming papers, pacing the courtroom halls, raising his voice in protest. Robyn, on the other hand, was described as pale, whispering furiously to her attorney, her hands trembling. Christine's name being dragged back into court after her escape from plural marriage shocked even her. And Janelle? She sat still, lips pressed tight, like a woman who had seen this coming for years. The order was final. No negotiations. No extensions. 12 vehicles. $950,000. All handed over. The real question now is, what happens next? If these cars lead to proof of hidden businesses or untaxed income, the Brown family's empire could crumble. More court orders could follow. Frozen accounts. Seized property. Even criminal charges. And this, my friends, is just the beginning. 12 cars. Nearly $1 million. A judge's order that could shake the Brown family empire to its foundation. But what if I told you those vehicles are only the tip of the iceberg? Because now, investigators are asking, where did the money come from? And what else are the Browns hiding? The gavel had barely cooled when whispers began spreading through the courtroom corridors. This wasn't just about car registrations. No. Attorneys suggested it was the entry point into something far bigger. A possible money trail that could unravel the Browns' carefully crafted empire of reality TV checks, book deals, and appearances. The vehicles themselves were shocking enough. 12 gleaming machines worth $950,000 combined, tucked away like hidden treasure. But luxury cars don't exist in isolation. They need insurance. They need maintenance. They need payments. And those payments create receipts, paper trails, and digital footprints. Court insiders revealed that the judge's order wasn't a casual demand, it was tied to suspected financial irregularities. Allegedly, certain Brown-owned businesses had been moving money around, making vehicle payments in names that didn't quite match. In one case, a luxury BMW X7 valued at $89,000 had monthly payments routed through a company account listed under Brown Family Entertainment LLC. A business that, on paper, was supposed to be inactive. And that wasn't the only red flag. Investigators also uncovered that insurance policies for some of the cars were bundled in unusual ways. One luxury Cadillac, spotted parked in front of Robyn's house multiple times, was insured under the name of one of Kody's teenage sons, raising eyebrows. Why would a teenager carry a six-figure insurance policy on a car he didn't own outright? Unless, of course, someone was deliberately using their child's name as financial camouflage. As the story unfolded, the tension between family members reportedly deepened. Robyn, often accused of being Kody's favorite, was hit hardest by the allegations. Sources close to the case claimed that 5 of the 12 vehicles were connected directly to her household. Neighbors had frequently spotted her in a Mercedes GLS, a Yukon Denali, and even the Escalade. Prosecutors suggested these weren't just innocent car purchases, they could be evidence of concealed assets. Christine, who had broken away from the family, now found her name back in legal documents she had desperately tried to escape. Her supposed ownership of a $110,000 Tesla Model X was like a ghost dragging her into the courtroom. And for fans, this was deeply ironic. Christine had spoken on camera about living frugally, pinching pennies, and worrying about the financial burden of plural marriage. The revelation that she may have had access to one of the most expensive electric cars in the world left many stunned. Meri's connection, while smaller, was no less significant. She was tied to a Jeep Grand Cherokee Summit worth nearly $65,000, allegedly purchased in cash. The cash payment raised alarm bells for investigators. In financial investigations, cash often equals concealment. Where had the money come from? And why bypass the bank? But perhaps the most chilling moment came when the court confirmed the inclusion of the Dodge Ram TRX, a beastly truck worth nearly $100,000. Not only was it flashy, but it was reportedly registered under one of Kody's sons. That revelation stunned even the most seasoned courtroom observers. Why would Kody, a man who often preached about sacrifice and family unity, allow his child to become entangled in legal and financial controversy? Was it protection? Or manipulation? The judge's face remained stern as documents were handed over. Pages upon pages of car registrations, VIN numbers, and ownership records. Each one a puzzle piece in a much larger investigation. And here's where the stakes got even higher. Because if investigators can prove that these vehicles were part of a fraudulent money trail, funneling TV earnings, business profits, or even fan donations into luxury toys, then the Browns could face not only financial ruin but possible criminal charges. We're talking about fraud, tax evasion, even asset concealment. And let's not forget, the cameras are always rolling. Every court hearing, every order, every whisper. The very family that built fame by letting the world into their private lives may now be forced to watch as that same world witnesses their downfall in real time. But just as the courtroom doors were closing, another bombshell dropped, whispers of a second court order in the works. This one not for vehicles, but for property deeds and hidden land titles. The Brown family saga was about to take an even darker turn. 12 luxury cars worth nearly $1 million. A court order that rocked the Brown family. But now, a new order is looming. One that could expose hidden properties, secret deeds, and millions of dollars in land holdings that the Browns never wanted the world to see. As the Browns scrambled to comply with the vehicle order, attorneys whispered of a second blow. Court officials hinted that investigators were circling around real estate transactions, suspiciously linked to Brown family members. The rumor became fact when, just days later, a second court order landed like a thunderclap. The Brown family is hereby ordered to submit all property deeds, mortgage documents, and land titles within 14 business days. The courtroom once again erupted. This wasn't just about flashy cars anymore. This was about land, the one asset Kody Brown had long preached was the foundation of his family's future. The infamous Coyote Pass property in Flagstaff, Arizona, valued at over $820,000, suddenly came under the microscope. But here's where the scandal grew darker. According to filings, investigators believed that not all Brown-owned properties were on public record. Some were allegedly purchased under shell companies, LLCs, or even family trusts designed to keep ownership off the books. One attorney claimed that as many as 6 additional properties, with a combined value of nearly $2.4 million, may be tied to the Browns in Utah, Nevada, and Arizona. Christine, who had long tried to distance herself from Kody, suddenly found her name once again tied to real estate. Court records suggested she may have been listed on the deed of a rental property in Utah, a home valued at $420,000. Christine herself had not publicly disclosed any such asset, raising the possibility that Kody may have used her name while still married to secure the purchase. Meri wasn't spared either. She was linked to a vacation cabin in southern Utah, allegedly worth $310,000, purchased under the name of a company that had no obvious business activity. The cabin, reportedly used as a quiet retreat, now stood as potential evidence of concealed family assets. Robyn, however, faced the largest scrutiny. Investigators discovered that her Flagstaff mansion, publicly valued at $890,000, was only part of the story. Documents hinted at an additional $600,000 Arizona property, registered under a trust where Robyn's name was curiously absent but her initials appeared in coded form. For prosecutors, this smelled like concealment. For fans, it was the ultimate confirmation of long-standing suspicions, that Robyn had been living a life of quiet luxury while other wives struggled financially. Janelle's name, too, appeared on property records, but hers carried a different sting. According to one filing, Janelle had allegedly been making hidden mortgage payments on a piece of land in Nevada worth $480,000. Payments that never showed up on family budgets or financial disclosures. Where had the money come from? And why keep it a secret? The judge's order demanded full disclosure, no exceptions, no loopholes. Failure to comply could mean forfeiture of property, financial penalties, or worse. Inside the courtroom, the tension was suffocating. Kody, once so confident in his role as patriarch, was visibly rattled. He rubbed his temples, muttered under his breath, and refused to look at the wives sitting nearby. Robyn clutched a folder of documents so tightly her knuckles turned white. Christine shook her head in disbelief, as if she had escaped only to be dragged back into the mud. Janelle sat stiff, lips pursed, clearly furious. And Meri? She stared straight ahead, her face unreadable, a woman caught between loyalty and survival. And then came the kicker. Court officials revealed that not all the deeds may have been registered in Arizona. Some may have been funneled through out-of-state trusts or even offshore accounts, raising the stakes from civil asset division into possible federal investigation territory. This was no longer just a family scandal. This was potentially fraud on a national scale. For fans, the irony couldn't be sharper. For years, Kody had stood in front of cameras, preaching about unity, sacrifice, and the dream of building one big house on Coyote Pass. But behind the scenes? Multiple secret homes. Hidden land. Concealed deeds. A fortune scattered across state lines. And now, every piece of that puzzle was about to be dragged into the light. The Brown family was staring down a terrifying question: when the court uncovers the truth, will they lose everything? 12 luxury cars. Millions in hidden property. And now, leaked audio tapes that could destroy everything. What was said behind closed doors is finally out, and it may be the most damning evidence yet against the Brown family. The ink on the property court order was barely dry when the internet erupted with whispers of something new: audio leaks. At first, they were just rumors, fans on social media claiming to have heard recordings of tense conversations between Kody and his wives. But then, within days, clips began surfacing online. Grainy, muffled, but unmistakable. The voices belonged to Kody, Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and even Meri. And what those tapes revealed was explosive. In one recording, allegedly captured during a heated family meeting, Kody's voice boomed, "They're not taking my cars. I'll register them under whoever I want. Robyn, we'll move them into the kids' names if we have to. Nobody's gonna touch them." The implication was devastating. Not only did Kody allegedly admit to shuffling vehicle ownership, but he openly suggested involving his children in the cover-up. Another clip revealed Robyn's voice, frantic, whispering, "Kody, we can't keep hiding the property this way. If they find out about the second trust, we're finished. The judge will take everything." That single line, "if they find out about the second trust," sent shockwaves through the fandom and legal observers alike. It was a direct reference to concealed assets. But the tapes didn't stop there. One particularly damning recording appeared to capture Christine, long after her split, speaking about the Tesla Model X tied to her name. Her words were filled with frustration. "I told him not to put that car in my name. I told him. But he didn't listen. Now my name's on something I never even wanted. If the court drags me into this, it's his fault." If authentic, Christine's statement confirmed what many suspected, that Kody had used his wives' names to disguise ownership of high-value assets, dragging them into financial scandals without their consent. Janelle's voice surfaced in another clip, her tone sharp and unyielding. "I've been paying that mortgage for years, Kody. Years. And you're gonna sit here and act like it's not mine? You can lie to the court, but don't you dare lie to me." Her words hinted at hidden property payments, secret financial dealings that aligned perfectly with the court's new order. And then there was Meri. Her audio was softer, but perhaps the most haunting of all. "I can't keep covering for you. Not this time. The money trail leads back to you, and I won't take the fall." That single statement could be the nail in the coffin. If Meri, once loyal to a fault, was distancing herself and suggesting Kody was at the center of the financial scandal, the court would have all the ammunition it needed. The leaks spread like wildfire. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #BrownFamilyExposed, #SisterWivesScandal, and #Cargate950K trended within hours. Fans dissected every syllable, debating authenticity, but legal experts weighed in quickly. Even if the audio was leaked informally, if verified, it could be admissible in court. Kody's reaction? According to insiders, pure rage. He reportedly stormed out of a legal strategy meeting, slamming the door so hard the building shook. Robyn was said to have broken down in tears, terrified that her carefully guarded secrets had been blown wide open. Janelle and Christine remained silent publicly, but their social media activity, cryptic quotes, vague reposts, only fueled speculation. And then came the chilling twist. Court officials confirmed that they had received copies of the audio tapes. Not from fans. Not from journalists. But from an anonymous whistleblower inside the Brown family's own inner circle. Someone close to the Browns wanted the truth out. This wasn't just a family falling apart. This was a family at war with itself, and the battlefield was now a courtroom armed with recordings worth more than 1,000 witnesses. But the leaks raised a terrifying new question. If these tapes exist, what else could surface? Video files? Emails? Bank transfers? The Browns weren't just fighting for their wealth anymore. They were fighting for survival. And just as the dust began to settle, another rumor started swirling, that prosecutors were preparing to subpoena Brown children to testify about their parents' assets. The next chapter of this scandal would cross a line nobody thought possible. 12 luxury cars. Millions in hidden property. Leaked audio tapes tearing the family apart. And now, the unthinkable. The Brown family children, once innocent bystanders, are being pulled into the courtroom drama. Subpoenas, testimonies, and a generational scandal no one saw coming. The moment the leaked tapes surfaced, prosecutors had leverage. But they wanted more. They wanted proof that the Browns' financial empire wasn't just smoke and mirrors. And to get it, they took a step that left the entire courtroom gasping. Subpoenas. Issued directly to the Brown children. For years, the kids had been shielded from the worst of their parents' disputes. They appeared on camera, sometimes reluctantly, sometimes proudly, but they were never the ones in the line of fire. That all changed when investigators realized that some of the cars, mortgages, and business accounts were registered under the children's names. The Dodge Ram TRX, nearly $100,000, allegedly in a son's name. A $72,000 Chevy Tahoe reportedly tied to one of Robyn's older kids. Even a modest $35,000 Subaru linked to a daughter, a vehicle prosecutors claimed was part of a larger concealment pattern. Each document tied a child to an asset, and each asset tied back to the scandal. The court's demand was clear: the children must testify. Not about family fights. Not about relationships. But about money, property, and ownership. Fans were horrified. Social media lit up with outrage. Leave the kids out of it. They didn't ask for this. But the law doesn't bend for sympathy. If their names appeared on financial records, they were legally accountable. Inside sources described Kody's fury as volcanic. He reportedly shouted at his legal team, "They're not dragging my kids in there. They can take me, they can take Robyn, but the kids are off limits." But his rage meant nothing against the weight of a signed subpoena. Robyn, in tears, allegedly begged the judge for mercy, claiming her children were too young, too innocent to be entangled in legal warfare. Yet the prosecutors countered with hard evidence: vehicle registrations, insurance policies, even a suspicious wire transfer of $18,000 routed to one child's account. Christine's children weren't spared either. One leaked filing suggested her oldest son's name appeared on the insurance of a Tesla charger installation. Connecting him indirectly to the disputed Tesla Model X, Christine was said to be livid, telling friends she never wanted her kids involved. And that Kody had forced their names onto documents without her consent. Janelle, too, faced the same nightmare. Her son's name surfaced on a Nevada property account, allegedly tied to monthly payments of nearly $1,900. The implication? That Janelle's children were being used to funnel money into real estate. And then came the most shocking allegation, that some of the Brown children may have been pressured into signing documents they didn't fully understand. If true, this would not only implicate the parents in concealment but possibly in coercion, a far more serious accusation. The courtroom atmosphere grew heavier by the day. Journalists camped outside, hungry for any detail about which children would testify first. Fans speculated endlessly, would the kids defend their parents, or would they finally speak out against the empire built on secrecy? Meri's quiet warning in the leaked tape suddenly rang louder, the money trail leads back to you. Kody. But now, that money trail wasn't just leading back to him. It was wrapping around his children, pulling them into a web of financial deceit. One attorney, speaking off record, described the case in chilling terms. If the Browns thought handing over car registrations was tough, wait until they hear their own children testify under oath. That's when this whole house of cards will collapse. For Kody, the fear wasn't just legal. It was personal. If his children turned on him, even unintentionally, the image he had worked decades to build, the patriarch, the leader, the provider, would crumble. His wives had already fractured. If the children fractured too, it would be total annihilation. And just as the world absorbed the shock of subpoenas, another leak hit the internet, this time, not audio, but something even more damning, bank statements. Files allegedly showing transfers between family accounts, business accounts, and yes, children's accounts. Proof that the Browns weren't just fighting allegations. They were staring down potential indictments. The scandal had reached a breaking point. And the next move would determine whether the Browns could survive, or whether the family empire would fall in flames. 12 luxury cars. $1 million hidden properties. Subpoenaed children. And now, the final nail in the coffin. The leaked bank statements that could destroy the Browns forever. The Brown family scandal had already spiraled out of control, but nothing compared to the moment hundreds of pages of confidential bank statements leaked online. At first, the documents appeared on a small forum, dismissed as rumors. But within hours, mainstream outlets had confirmed their authenticity. What they revealed wasn't just questionable accounting, it was a financial spiderweb stretching across states, businesses, and even the children's accounts. Transfers of $150,000 routed from a family LLC to Robyn's private account. A mysterious $82,000 wire from a Utah-based construction firm into an account under Christine's daughter's name. Janelle's son linked to recurring deposits of $4,500, allegedly from rental income tied to a hidden Arizona property. Even Meri, who had long claimed innocence, was tied to an account showing $36,000 in unexplained consulting fees. The public gasped. Fans flooded social media, this isn't just drama. This is fraud. The prosecutors wasted no time. In court, they laid the statements across the judge's desk like a deck of cards. Each page tied the family deeper into a pattern of financial concealment. Each number painted a darker picture of what once looked like a reality TV empire. Kody's face, usually smug with control, was pale and drawn. Witnesses in the courtroom described him gripping the table so tightly his knuckles turned white. Robyn openly wept, her voice trembling as she whispered, "This isn't real. This can't be real." But the judge was unmoved. In a voice that silenced the packed courtroom, the ruling came down like thunder. The court hereby orders the Brown family to disclose all financial records, all business holdings, and all property assets. Effective immediately. Any attempt to obstruct or conceal will result in criminal charges. The words landed like a death sentence. It wasn't just about the cars anymore. Not the Tesla, not the Tahoe, not the Dodge Ram TRX. It wasn't just about the $950,000 fleet of vehicles seized under order. It was bigger. The Browns weren't facing embarrassment. They were facing possible indictments, asset forfeiture, and years of legal warfare. And perhaps most devastating of all, the children were now entwined in a scandal that could follow them for the rest of their lives. Christine, already distanced from the family, reportedly broke down outside the courthouse. "This isn't what I wanted for my kids," she told a reporter, her voice cracking. Janelle stood stone-faced, silent, refusing to answer questions. Meri, the one who had warned of the money trail in the leaked audio, stared at Kody with something between rage and resignation. She had tried to escape the spiral, but now she was trapped in it too. And Kody? His empire had collapsed in front of him. The patriarch who once controlled everything, the wives, the children, the properties, the businesses, was now powerless. Surrounded by lawyers, journalists, and investigators digging through every corner of his empire. The leaked bank statements weren't just evidence. They were a mirror, showing the world the Browns' darkest truth, that the family built on unity, faith, and television fame had crumbled into greed, secrecy, and betrayal. The judge's gavel came down one final time. Case adjourned. Assets frozen. Family shattered. And with that, the sister wives saga entered a new chapter, no longer about marriages, breakups, or family drama, but about survival under the crushing weight of scandal. The Browns had always said their story was about faith, love, and choice. But now, the story was about money, power, and downfall. And as the cameras rolled and the headlines screamed, one truth was undeniable: the empire of sister wives had fallen.